along with a ready supply of silverware. But rewind exactly 2 decades and it was a very different world, with then manager Joe Royle and his team battling to salvage the club from ruin in football's third tier.
Hard times all round, financially hard times. The season we got relegated from the championship, as it's called now, my first job there was to try and clean the place out of, there were over 50 pros, and the first transfer window I sat in there with the chairman, the secretary, just getting people out on loan, giving them frees, anything we could to just lower the wage bill and try and keep the club afloat.
If I could sum it up, well, we used to wash our kit. I try to imagine Sergio Aguero washing his training kit, you know, and that was the lowest that the club got.
The facilities were okay, but it was half owned by the council, so certain aspects of it at certain times people could use. So if we wanted to go in the gym, there might be a 60-year-old bloke, you know, doing some press-ups when you're wanting to do some exercise that you wanted to do or whatever, and if you wanted to go on an exercise bike, there'd be, you know, an old lady on there or whatever. So it was a little bit strange, but that's all we knew at the time.
Our derby games were Stockport County and Macclesfield, you know, and that's where the chant came up, you know, we're not really here. It was great, fantastic gallows humour from the Man City fans.
City's date with destiny came at the old Wembley in a 1999 Second Division playoff final against Gillingham. With only 3 minutes left, the future looked increasingly bleak.
Robert Taylor has scored, and Gillingham are heading into Division 1.
I turned around to Willie Donachie, one of my best friends and coach, and I remember saying to him, it looks like Scunny next year, Will, because Scunthorpe had just won their playoffs.
When they make it 2-0, the first thoughts were, all this hard work to get here, and we're going to have to do this again. Will we be able to? I'm not quite sure.
At 2-0 down and City fans streaming towards the exits, something extraordinary happened.
Kevin Horlock has driven that into the back of the net, and I wonder if there will be a late twist here.
My first thought was consolation, and then this loud roar comes from the City fans. Come on!
The assistant comes up with a board showing 5 minutes extra time, so it gave everyone an adrenaline surge in the stadium, most of all the 11 guys on the pitch.
Lumped forward though by Weekens. Comes now for Gota, can't get his shot in, Dickoff, he scored! Paul Dickoff has scored for Manchester City, and Gillingham can't believe it!
And I've been on at Dickie all the time about just make sure you hit the target. He had a habit of trying to kill the ball at times, everything had to be smashed.
Luckily a chance fell to him, and you know, it was probably one of his most difficult chances, and then he scored what's become sort of an iconic goal in the club's history.
When we see that go in, wow, I just fell in love with Paul. I absolutely fell in love with him. I was just like, you beauty.
After Paul Dickoff's miraculous equaliser deep in stoppage time, a goalless extra time meant penalties. With City leading the shootout 3-1, Nicky Weaver had his moment.
I remember saying to the linesman, if I save this, is that it? And he said, yeah. I said, you sure? He said, yeah.
Deafening sound, Guy Butters must score, he doesn't, he's missed, it's saved by Nicky Weaver, and Manchester City are back in the First Division. That is quite an astonishing game.
I saved it, and then I sort of can't really explain what happened after that. I pulled a face that I'd never really pulled before or after, sort of waved the lads over, and as they started coming, I didn't want this feeling to end.
Absolutely beautiful. He said, all this, go. So we had to chase him. I think I was probably one of the last to get to him because I was shattered.
You know, it was only big Andy Morrison that stopped me, and I'll not tell you what I said to him when there was 20-man pile on top of me.
City's victory was overshadowed internationally by Manchester United's famous treble that same week. But for all in sky blue, that Wembley triumph was a key turning point for the club.
We obviously went up in '99, and then we went up again the year after to get into the Premier League. So within just over a year after the Wembley game, we're back in the Premier League. We moved into the stadium as a Premier League club. So it had a huge bearing on getting the stadium, and then if we hadn't got the stadium, who knows if the investment would have come.
Today, you know, generally we've got world-class players. You know, Kevin De Bruyne, Vincent Kompany, Sergio Aguero, David Silva. You know, these guys have won World Cups and they won everything. You know, it's definitely a connection in regards to if we hadn't got promoted that season, you know, I think we would have been one of those teams that would have just still been there.
I speak with Man City fans regularly, and they all still maintain that that game was the catalyst that started the rocket that Manchester City is currently on.
I'll look back at the FA